Hey guys, I
Okay.
just wanted to say, hey, what's up? First off, I'm Boston Kid. All right, I wanted to welcome myself into the conversation since you guys aren't going to, so I'm just gonna do it myself real quick. Anyways, I think it's absolutely insane. I just want to put my input in real quick because I've been watching this shit, and it's been kind of driving me a little bit insane. Thinking that a man has a decision. Now,
Oh my god.
a man does not have a decision. Period. All right. We do have an opinion, though. That's a fact, right? But a decision? Not a fucking chance. Not in law. Not at all. Like, imagine you having an alien inside of you, and then someone else telling you what to do with it, right? I believe in abortion.
An alien instead of a human baby. It's like,
Here we go. Hold on. Relax. So, think about it. What age do we live in? Are we cavemen? Or are we living in a complex society right now? What are we living in?
Well, if we're talking about alien babies, why do we gotta act like we're cavemen?
Oh, you could take whatever I said literally and play stupid little children games. You could. No. Stop. You can literally answer my question like a adult and not take everything that I say literally.
We got alien babies. Now we can just start telling.
Okay, so alien baby. All right, awesome. So if you have an alien baby, because we're talking about UFOs inside of you, okay? Do you think that men can say to have an abortion or not? Do you think they have a fucking option?
Like legally? This conversation wasn't gender specific.
Well, the title. Oh, a gender. Okay. Abortion is a man's decision. That's the title right now. That's what I'm looking at.
Oh, that's the title that.
That's the title.
Prime always has provocative titles that.
So man is gender, right?
Yeah. Okay.
None of our conversation has been around that.
Yeah. I use
baited.
inflammatory comments.
So the point I'm trying to make right now is basically like, how can you make a decision in someone else's life? Like, how can you say if you are holding up
very easily, we do it all the time.
All right, awesome. You guys have had what, like 2 hours to talk? Can I just say something real quick, please?
Go ahead.
May I?
No, I just joined recently too. So
okay, awesome. Well, you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything, and you had your fucking opportunity. I just joined in. I welcome myself. Let me just say a couple.
Yeah, and I was waiting patiently because
all right, you're patiently waiting. Well, you're a beta male. I don't know what to say.
Boston Kid,
So,
I like your alpha energy, so go ahead.
Listen, this is all I'm trying to say. All right, let's just say you have a baby inside of you. All right, imagine someone else coming up to you and saying, "Nah, dude, we gotta get rid of it. You have to get rid of it. It's my decision." Imagine that. Like, imagine that. That's insane, right? But you can have a nice conversation with your woman, right? Because that's what gives birth is women. So you can have a good conversation with her and say, hey, look, we're not ready for this shit. Maybe like down the line we could do it, but right now I'm just not financially ready for this shit. Or like maybe she's nervous. Maybe, like that's fine. You can have a conversation about the whole thing. Is it like morally, like ethically fucked up? Yeah, dude, that's fucking terrible. Like you're ending a life. Like, of course, like that's really fucked up. But like, what about for the kid? Like, like what about like, down the line, if you're not like financially set up, like that kid's life is going to be fucked, dude. Like that is like fucking terrible, like, and you don't even know anything about anything. Like the girl is going through a lot of shit. She should be able to make the fucking decisions. Now, if we were cavemen, it would be different. If we were if money didn't exist, then abortion itself would be ridiculous. That would be the stupidest shit of all time. It wouldn't make any fucking sense to have an abortion if money didn't exist,
yes,
right?
It would. Yeah.
Time out.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Hold on. Time the fuck out.
Boston Kid,
Can I get to my point? Can I get to my
You
point
just
with
want a
the?
monologue,
Hey,
or
may I
you
finish,
want to
please?
have a
May I
conversation?
finish?
You
Sir,
just
may I
want a
finish,
monologue, or
please?
you
May
wanna have
I
a
finish,
monologue?
please? Sir, may I
You don't
finish?
wanna have a
May I finish,
conversation.
sir?
Boston Kid, go ahead, please.
1 minute,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you so much. One more minute. All right, you're living in the Stone Age, right? Money, currency doesn't exist, all right? So you need to go get food, hunter-gatherer type shit. Woman stays home, takes care of baby, bing, bang, boom. Things are a lot easier in this aspect. Your whole life is based on survival, right? Not finances, getting fucking laid off, fucking COVID-19 comes in. Oh, shit, I lose my fucking job.
We got
all
you.
this shit. There's so much more attributes in the society that we live in. It's so much more complex.
Oh, Boston.
Back then.
Okay. So you're
Nice stand-up routine, dude.
So my final decision is no. A man should not have a fucking decision because it's 25% man, 75% woman. What I mean is that it's like the man is co-owner to this fucking business right now. And we don't have the high enough percentage to make a fucking finance decision.
Can I ask you a question? Boston kid.
Very transphobic of you, assuming that men can't get pregnant.
Wait. Pisco. Wait. Pisco, before we go down this.
You don't sound as woke anymore.
Boston kid, let me ask you something. Do you think men participate in society?
I'm sorry, guy. I don't speak English. What? What was that?
Yo, kick him. This fucker's just stupid.
No. Let's go. Tell me, ask me some fucking. Don't ask me fucking questions that are set up questions. Be real with me.
Okay.
Speak English. Speak
English. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say bullshit.
All right. Let me ask you something. I'm trying to ask these questions to understand. When you sit here and say that men do not have a right to tell women what to do, are you speaking from a moral sense or a legal sense?
I don't understand your question.
Doghouse, shut the fuck up with your moral legal bullshit.
I don't understand your question.
Pisco, shut the fuck up.
I plead the fifth. I don't understand your question.
All right, then I'll answer it then, okay?
Why do you start every fucking question?
Pisco, shut the fuck up.
Your words are too big for my stupid little brain. I don't understand.
All right, I'll explain it because the reason why I'm saying men, if we're talking legally, men do have a say because they participate in society and they do end up making bills, and they end up making bills and for the women's favor and against the women's favor. Because we are in a society, we make legal bills. Now, if we're talking morally and ethically speaking, that's a whole nother level of things. So when we're talking about men not having a say, men do have a say. In terms of making laws and voting in congressmen and women who make these laws.
So interesting. Yeah,
men are the founders of making laws.
Men have power, men have money.
Jordan Lee Peterson can explain all of this to you. We don't need to watch this podcast to find any of this information out. This is just research.
So then men do have a say in whether or not women get abortion because
No.
So you're telling me then that men don't vote?
Okay. Legally, we don't have a say.
Doghouse,
okay?
Legally. Why are you trying to do this?
Legally, we have a say. Legally, we do have a say.
And you're like going down this.
I'm sorry. Did I say we don't have a say? I mean, say legally we do have a say, but non-legally, we do not have.
Everyone knows what he was talking about. Dog.
No one was saying that. Yeah.
No one was ever like, "Oh, he thinks that men can't vote."
Hey, Pisco, you've had some stupid ass hypotheticals. Exactly. Congratulations.
So you're asking questions that are already
talking to Boston kid.
Yeah,
this abortion is a man's decision. That is a very controversial, like what I'm saying, thing. Like I don't think it's fully a man's decision. I think, like I said, 75% female, 25%. I'm sorry, 75% female, 25% male.
We can work with that. Okay. Hold on, 1 second. Hold on, Boston. I'm trying to help you out. All right. So, does anyone here?
I don't want help. I don't want help.
Sorry, I meant to say I'm taking over because it's my panel. All right.
Here we go. Thank you.
Okay. So but does anyone agree with Boston Kid, right? That men have any say? At all, right? So he's saying 25%. However, that would actually work out. I'm not really sure how you would actually implement that legally. But does anyone agree?
Yeah, I think they do have a say.
That's disagree.
Even though, so even though I'm like pro, like not having, I guess not abortion. Even in a society where we do have abortions, I think in that society, a man should have the say to have the woman not have the abortion.
And I mean, I'll take the stance that I think that men should have a say, but I'm not saying that in the sense that they should have I'm saying that men should have an opinion, but at the end of the day, the women.
What does that mean?
Final say we're talking about.
No,
Fine.
but I understand, but
I mean, but
hear
what
this
was
all the
that?
time,
What does that
people-
encompass? That's what I'm trying to say. Is like at the end of the day, the
What do
woman
you
is
think
either
it
gonna.
encompasses?
Well, let me explain what I'm saying. Is that I think that at the end of the day, a woman is gonna go down and get an abortion, whether or not the man is saying, "Hey, I don't think you should or shouldn't." I think that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so
Is
what
I'm
is
saying
this
a man.
opinion thing?
What I'm saying
I
is,
can have an
well,
opinion on if you should buy a house or not.
well,
but
like
I
for
don't have a
example,
say
like
in
I
this, so
think
what
a
does
man
that
should
matter?
be able to. Let me explain. So, like, I think a man should be able to talk to their like significant other and be like, "Hey, I don't think you should get an abortion." Blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, the woman is going to go against either the wishes of the man or go with the wishes of the man. And I don't think the decision of the man is going to be like ultimately the end all be all for the woman. I don't think now whether or not that's right or wrong. If the man wishes for the abortion not to go through, or sorry, the abortion not to go through, and the woman goes and gets it against the man's wishes, I think that's. I would have to look at the situation as an entirety to make that decision. Like, are they married? Are they not married? And then there's a whole bunch of other like moral dilemma shit that goes into that, like all together. So I'd have to super dissect that. But generally speaking, the woman's gonna do what the woman's gonna fucking do, and it's so.
Right, it's her body. Imagine someone telling you what to do with your balls. Right?
People do all the
Think about
time. Shit.
Well, that's not good. You
Austin
gotta
just
sort
made
that shit
really,
out.
really boring by bringing this here. One, I think he's absolutely discounting the fact that the conversation was centered in a, maybe it's interesting, I guess, whatever, to bring this into, gender into focus. But our conversations about like what life is a
Is it boring or is
conceptual
it interesting?
Yeah.
I suppose
Actually, I have a
You just
question for
contradicted
Pico.
yourself.
maybe it
right
would be
immediately.
Maybe it would be interesting to some people and people who like live in identity politics.
So what
to
is it
talk
to
about-
you?
To me, it's boring because I think the conversation about
Okay, so you should stick with that. You should stick with your opinion, not
Well, I
everyone
didn't want to
else's.
speak for everybody, but like,
I think it's boring as well.
I think that it's boring.
boring.
I think it's more interesting to talk about like the conceptual framework of abortion.
You
whether
think having a good opinion is boring?
whether or not life is a concept with that's a hard and fast concept, whether it's fuzzy. And then you said a bunch of other stupid shit, which included like the only rationale that makes sense for abortion is financial hardship, which of course is one of the dumbest
That's not
things.
the only
ever.
thing I said.
Wait,
That's not
wait,
the only
Peace
thing.
Code.
In the caveman world, it wouldn't make sense to have a.
I'm applying
that
real
concept.
life attributes and real life circumstances.
I'm the one
to
fighting
the
here, Tony, not
conversation that
you,
you're
not
talking.
you,
Are we
not
living
you.
on Mars? What are we
Hey,
talking about here? What are we in space?
Hey,
What are we
I'm not
fucking
fighting for the next
terraforming on a
one,
different
hey.
planet? Like we live on Earth. This is
gee
the
whiz,
actual
guys,
situation that we're
How
going
would you
through.
like it if someone told you how to like?
So
Yeah,
if
this
it's
was
boring,
Red Sox
if
game.
it's
I love
boring,
this.
I'm sorry to fucking bore you, but this is the reality of it.
It's
so
the
if
rea-
it's
how would you
boring,
feel if
then
you couldn't
maybe
go to
this
a
isn't
Bruins
your
game?
topic,
You wouldn't
or
like
maybe
it
you're just
very
not
much.
interested.
You wouldn't
But
like it. very
Boston
much
kid,
if
you're
you
trying to
couldn't
make it
go
a black and white topic. Like we're trying to talk about the nuances here,
In the
not just like,
dumbest way.
oh
The
yeah,
Title
who gets the
says
decision.
abortion is a man's decision. We were getting to the nitty
You got
gritty.
fucking baited. That's what happened, bro.
What can I? Am I allowed to swear on this stream? By the way, I don't know if I've been
Yeah,
swearing.
yeah,
Am
swear
I
ahead,
allowed
boy.
to swear?
As long as you're
Am I allowed to
within
swear?
TOS, you can
Why are
swear.
you playing into a stereotype?
Okay,
You
look.
don't need to.
If look, let me
Celtics
just
won today. I
explain
mean,
that.
I don't know what to tell you.
You want it to be not boring? I'll help you out. All right. If a fucking man, all right,
Fucks a woman.
yes, exactly. If a man and a woman fuck, all right, that's
The
allowed, right?
caveman times are right now.
All right. Nah, this is happening right down the street, right? Right
Oh,
now.
shit.
This is happening all around you. Every
Okay.
fucking
This is your
moment of your
stand-up.
life,
This is a
people are
fucking
fucking right now.
Are they fucking in the room right now, Boston kid?
Do they have a condom on? Well,
They're both fucking, all right? But the guy knows. We all fucking know the risks without a condom. We all know. We all know. Like, don't act like you don't fucking know. Like, this could happen. I might, pre-cum, whatever, right? Shit happens, right? Now, you're going to the girl. It's all good. It's all good. Like, I'm good at this. I can pull out. Everything's fine. We won't have a kid. She's going, are you sure? Are you sure? You're like, yeah.
Do
No.
we have to
I've
narrate
done this all the
everything?
time.
Quick to drinking Coors
I
Light.
love this.
is
Like,
not
speed it up.
needed.
Speed it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Like, where's the end of it? Keep going.
All right, so
Yeah.
down the line, you have a kid. All right?
them child support payments, though.
How about she wants to keep it?
What?
She wants to keep it. Or she
Crazy.
doesn't want to keep it. I'm sorry, she doesn't want to
okay.
keep it.
That's
But
what I
you
thought.
do.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you do. Now what?
Dog.
Well, like what you said
That's the
before,
whole
like
abortion
the man can
conversation.
subtly
Welcome to
try
the
and
game,
like
dude.
coerce
It's
her by
reversed.
like be
The
like,
roles
oh
are
yeah, let's
reversed a
take
little
her,
bit, right?
yeah.
Roles reversed? What are you talking about? It's the entire discussion is about abortion.
guys are
I
so
don't know what
fucking-
you just explained how people get pregnant. I guess sometimes, I guess some people it's a fucking accident. You took a risk, and you got a little pre-cum and whatever. But like, that's not interesting. You just.
But what if
narrate
you
it.
wanted to keep it? What if you wanted to keep it
That's what we're talking
and
about.
she didn't?
So
here's a question, Boston Kid. Okay,
No,
so
I
let's
get what
say
you're saying. I
let's
guess
say we get to a point where like we're 36 weeks in, okay, and then she has a psychotic
All right,
break.
so the whole
right?
point of
And
that
a
was
doctor
because
comes in
I'm
and says,
acting just as dumb as you guys.
No,
I'm not
Boston
making
Kid.
any sense because
I'm
none of
engaging
you
in your
are.
hypothetical
The
right now.
fucking
I'm
main
engaging
point
you right
that
now.
you guys had, the whole point was abortion
Oh
is
my
a man's
God.
decision. You guys don't make any fucking sense because I.
Oh my God.
But-
Calm down.
Okay, I got a question. I got a hypothetical
still
that it
going.
might actually engage.
He's still
his,
going.
his,
He's still going. Oh, he'll get it in a second. Any minute now.
Hey, this was great at content though. Okay, let him keep going. Shit, great.
you
Hey.
just realized.
Okay. All right. Hi again. Artery, you wanted to say something to him?
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, right? Hypothetically. 36
You
weeks
guys
in.
follow my fucking channel. This is a bunch of garbage. These guys are fucking stupid.
Are you gonna let me
Honestly,
finish, or are you just gonna interrupt me?
Okay.
I'll park the car, okay?
Off you go. All right.
Okay, well, someone else, hey, Pisco, engage with this hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
Instead of this guy. Hypothetically, right? 36 weeks in, the wife has like a psychotic break. Yeah, for whatever reason, people get fucked up mentally, like for tons of reasons.
Mhm.
I'm sure you can figure one out. So
Yeah.
she has a break,
Mhm.
and then like you're like her, like, what do they call it when if you have an accident, like the
Power of
passenger.
attorney.
Yeah, sure. Like, do you have the ability to like veto her decision, or should you have the ability to veto her decision?
Oof. That's a tough one, right? Because
Yeah.
in the context of a lot of like medical procedures and stuff like that, if you have like that kind of, you can imagine certain controls where you would have the right to veto someone's medical decisions, including in the context of like invasive surgeries or those kinds of procedures.
I would personally say like no, just
You know what,
because.
Yeah, I'll give this to Boston. It is actually an interesting decision. If you think that there's a right to an abortion, it's not a foregone conclusion that right is invested in the woman, right? I think that is the conclusion that most of us draw, but it's not a necessary conclusion that if the right of the abortion exists, it exists solely in the woman. What you're talking about is, can that decision ever be delegated in a way that you can't get it back? And I think that most of these rights, I would be okay with women having the ability to delegate that authority unrevocably, because I would be okay with that in other contexts as well. And so I don't see a reason why we should even assume that there is a right of abortion. Why should that right be this non-delegable thing? I'm not sure that I would agree with that. Just like,
So you're saying, like,
think about the right to bear arms, like Second Amendment.
Right.
There could be reasons why, because of mental whatever or incidents, that right is taken away from you, or you delegate that right, somehow, or you sign a letter that says I'm not allowed to hold it. Should you be able to assume it back before there's been like some sort of check to make sure you're okay? I think that those kinds of arrangements could make sense even in the abortion context. And so I don't know why this should be above and beyond the other rights that we typically have.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's get back on track again as well. I wanted to ask this question to you before. Like, in your hypothetical society,
after you do so, let's go to Mafia. I just want to call that out. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So in your society, like, what's the benefit of defining where life is? Because we were talking about life, like, defining with life and how, like, it's like a nebulous term, and that, like, we don't actually know, and like philosophers have been talking about it for ages. Like, what's the benefit of your society where if we do draw the line, okay, this is where life is. Like, what happens after that?
Yeah. So the reason why I picked birth is because it's so useful for it to be a birth, because. Right. Then, first of all, it's like a period where, even though technically you can have like, okay, if you're partly out of the birthing canal, are you birthed yet? When are you considered birthed? Does every single part of, there can be line drawing problems even in the birth situation. I don't want to pretend that there's not, but it's a useful line to draw because so many other things attach to that moment. You're getting your name, you're getting your social security number. You now have due process rights. Because other people can touch you and take you away from your mother if they need you, and you're a physical object in space in a way that you're not when you're in the womb. You're identifiable in a way that you're really not when you're in the womb. And all these things make all the attendant benefits, rights, obligations associated with humanness so much more convenient once you've been born and so much harder before you're born. That's why I think that it makes sense to have those rights attached to you at birth, even though I agree birth itself is fuzzy. And just because I say that those rights attach at birth doesn't mean that the state couldn't have an interest in protecting your life, your quote unquote unborn life, before you've been born. So that's why I define it the way I do, and that's why I think it makes sense.
And I assume that, like, even though you define it as like being useful at that point, that like it might not be like moral to define it at that point. That like, morally speaking, we may be able to define
in some sense. It's arbitrary in the sense that like what's so special about being? You're not wrong. Those of you who are like, if before you've been born, you're essentially the same as 10 seconds after you're born. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that it's essentially the same creature. The only thing that's happened is you're taking your first breaths hopefully after a while, and that's it, you know. But the reason why it makes sense is all the attendant utility that you get from having been born. But every line you draw is going to be arbitrary, I submit to you. And so given that every line is going to be arbitrary, might as well draw an arbitrary line that is useful and beneficial.
Yeah, I agree.
Because here's another line you can draw. Another line you can draw is the potential for life. The potential for life argument gets you to sperm cells. And that isn't very useful at all, right? The genetic uniqueness of the DNA gets you to no abortion ever, right? No abortion. That's not a very useful line. The argument
is useful for people who want that, right?
Yes,
but like
it is useful for people who believe that.
You have to have a whole society of people who want that for it to be useful. Then, like, we're talking about like generally in our like society, not just like there are people out there.
Society, if you have the position that abortion shouldn't be a thing that we should allow, then that argument is a good one to run with.
No, I don't defer to the. When I'm thinking about what's useful, I don't necessarily defer to the whims of the majority of the society, except to the extent that like I think a given policy is going to be poorly received in that society, such that it wouldn't be a quote useful policy anymore. So if I for one think that all what's a good example? That religion is like very poisonous in a society. But even if I thought that religion is very poisonous in a society, imposing a no religion rule would not be accepted by the society, and it would create a lot more problems in a way that, you know, even though I think that that's ultimately the good outcome if people were rational, isn't the policy initiative that I would want to impose upon society, because it's harmful for many reasons. And so I understand hyper to an extent, but I guess another point the hyper could make is, well, if I consider life to begin at conception, then what's useful to most people, the conceived life would be included in the denominator of who counts as what's useful to them. And surely to them, it's really, really, really unuseful to be aborted. That's another argument the hyper could bring. Maybe he will.
Okay. Before we do that though, Mafia, he's been waiting for a very long time. Mafia, thank you for being incredibly patient for the shenanigans. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I understand where Boston Kid, not to bring his name up again, comes from in terms of like his own hatred towards the topic itself, but because it is morally strong. I think the biggest thing that we should really think about though is, yes, we should talk about what life is and what it begins and where it is and the definitions of it and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think, in terms of persuading people that don't believe that abortion should be legalized to begin with, the only thing that we should really talk to them about is like, why do they want to specifically change someone else's opinion on their own body? Like the life expectancy thing and like the definition of it really just like comes down to opinions, and I think just finding a clear line that we can all agree with where it comes, you know.
But I think some people on this panel like definitely just disagree with like abortion in general, like as a rule. So I think like the whole point of like us discussing like how to convince people like that abortion should be legal, like it comes into like finding people like actually having these discussions in the first place. Yeah. Oh, who left?
Oh,
Yeah,
dog.
but yeah, even in a society where abortions are allowed, I still say that a father would have interest in the unborn child. So even in a society where there are abortions, I think the father, in a society where there are abortions, I think if both parents agreed, then sure, they can have the abortion. But I think if either parent disagreed and wanted to keep the child, that the child should still stay alive.
So Vanilla, let's say the wife is like might die due to this like pregnancy.
No, that would never happen.
Let's say okay. Well,
I mean, I've already said that many times. Like, if you're talking about saving the life, then
after like 2 weeks, let's say like after 2 weeks of like pregnancy, right? She's got like some health issues and she doesn't want to go through with it. But then her whole family is saying that she should go through with it. Like, does her like individual decision like trump like the will of her family and her husband?
Are we're talking about where there are like
she has like a medical condition and she like might die, probably will die.
That can't happen. So what they should do is just keep the pregnancy until
just being stupid. I've already said multiple times. Like,
if it's saving the life, then you try to save it, and then that's what happens. But your situation could never happen. So why? That's a stupid hypothetical, idiot.
What was I thinking?
I had a follow-up to Arteri's
Okay.
Yeah, you made a mistake of trying to engage with Pisco. That's what.
Well, Vanilla, I mean that's your logic. I mean, why would you answer that hypothetical?
No, my logic is you're dumb, and you make hypotheticals to make absolutely
Vanilla, why would you answer that? That hypo implies something that you said couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So why would you answer that? Hypo?
No, it doesn't imply anything.
What's the difference? His is
I'll throw it out to everybody then. Like in this hypothetical, like High Patrol, like what do you think?
Okay, perfectly fine. This is a gotcha, and it's not that much of a gotcha if you think about it. That's fine. You can have an exception to a bright line rule. So, like, you can have a general rule that we shouldn't have abortion. Then we can say that there are extenuating circumstances such as the life of a mother, in which you should be able to allow an abortion. Very simple. You have your bright line rule, and then you have your exception baked in.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. Yeah. That's a great answer from Hyper, but for some reason, Vanilla, why do you think that that's like a bad answer to give?
You obviously haven't been listening because you're such an idiot. I've conceded that multiple times that if it's the risk of the life of the mother, that in that case it would be fine. Like I've never disputed that the entire.
Why don't you answer my question about at 36?
I did answer your question. You didn't like the answer. I said it makes absolutely no sense that at 36 weeks, to save the life of the mother, you can just take the child out. I've answered that plenty of times.
It's more
There's
likely.
no reason you have to kill it. There's no reason.
But like, why would you need, like, let's say you don't find out about that it's going to be a danger to your life until later in the pregnancy, which actually like makes sense. It's actually, I feel like it was like, it's actually more intuitive that the threat to the life become apparent later in the pregnancy.
The answer here, Pisco. The answer to Pisco is also extremely simple. In most instances in which the life of the mother is at risk, the simplest solution is to just perform a C-section and remove the child. That's the answer.
I grant that. I can grant that. But the question is, suppose that procedure itself either is not possible to save the children, or that procedure itself would kill the mother for whatever reason. Now you're stuck with it. Now,
so what's the alternative procedure?
Already provided.
To abort the child.
So, why are you fighting me on this?
I don't think this line of questioning. I don't think this line of questioning is going to lead anywhere.
You're trying to make it.
We'll answer your hypo. I mean, I answered Doobie's hypo about his crazy situations. It's so unfair. Like, I give you something that's
aborting the child entails taking the child out. Is that not
for whatever reason?
That, 36 weeks?
For whatever reason, that procedure won't work because either the child will be made unviable by virtue of that procedure, or
I've said I'm okay with that. I'm saying if I'm saying take the child out, and I've said if the child dies in the process, yes, that can happen. While you're taking the child out, the child could die in the process.
You know the child. So for the sake of the hypo, you know the child is going to die. You know
that doesn't change it.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying at 36 weeks, take out the child. Don't make an active attempt to kill the child. Now, if the child dies in the process, fine. I'm saying at 36 weeks, you can take the child out.
No, trying to
save the mother's life. Take the child out.
Assume for the sake of the hypo that the procedure to try to save the children is both futile and dangerous to the health of the mother. They're both.
And so, what's the alternative procedure that you're going to use to abort the child? What's that procedure?
Some safer procedure.
What people are saying is the only condition. Okay. Let me nail this down. I got you.
No, I understand what he's saying. I'm saying it makes no sense at all.
So
I understand 100% what he's saying.
Okay, so we can move on because Vanilla,
what he's trying to say,
cannot comprehend the question or cannot contemplate an alternative scenario. So he's not going to answer the question. So trying to pin him down on this is
there is no alternative
endeavor.
Scenario.
Let's move on. No, there isn't. You've been presented a scenario where there is no alternative procedure. The mother's life is at
there's no
risk.
Alternative procedure, and then the procedure that you're going to use that there's no alternative for is the same procedure that I'm saying.
No, it's not that. No. Sorry. C-sections are not. So in those abortions, maybe there's some vacuum, and you splice up the fetus inside the uterus, and then you suck it out with a vacuum, and that's safer than doing the C-section.
Wait, what? Quickly, what moral, ethical framework are we using?
Oh my God! Please no.
Oh my God!
We're so close. We're so close. No, we're so close. We're so close. Vanilla. So in the case where the procedure to have the abortion, it's a vacuum-based procedure where you cut up the fetus in the uterus and then you suck it out with a tube. The doctor determines that is the safer procedure than some kind of C-section where you're having the surgery, like an open surgery under anesthesia or whatever you have to do in that situation. I gave you two procedures. One is safer. One is both futile and dangerous to the mother. In that situation, there's 5 fetuses who, if you allow them to bring to term, will be healthy, but the mother will surely die, or you allow the abortion. Do you force the mother to carry the pregnancy to term?
Well, now under your utilitarian framework, you got more people that are giving me.
I'm asking the question.
Let Vanilla answer, Hyper.
And I answered
it. To me, it's still the same answer.
Wait. Okay. We just gotta move on. Debate board.
Yeah. So you won't answer. Will you admit that you won't answer the question?
No, I've answered it 100 times. You just don't like my answer.
No, you haven't answered.
I have.
Does anyone here?
There's a disagreement you guys can't resolve.
Yeah, we got to move on from that.
You're scared, man. You're a rat.
So